Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in to the Main Show. My name is Tyler Main, and we are going to be exploring everything from horror to heavy metal. Come on, let's go see a friend of mine.
Who is it?
Hey, open the door, man.
Tyler, come on in. Hey.
Hey Wayne, how you doing, man? Thanks for having us.
Hey.
I was looking on IMDb, and I see you got it pulled up there.
Yeah, I was just looking.
You got a lot of credits, man. Predators, the new Predators. Transformers. And we got a Nightmare on Elm Street 4.
Yeah, those are a couple of the first things I worked on.
Oh, sweet. Fresh meat.
And I started out working for a guy named John Beekler, he had a make effects shop and still does, who gave a lot of make effects people their start. I mean, ever since I was a kid, I always loved horror movies, and bless my parents, they let me watch, whatever it was. They probably shouldn't have, but
Star Trek 6.
You cannot take much more of this.
the main thing I remember is sculpting some Vulcan ears, which was cool.
You've also worked with some of the top musicians, and that brings us to how we met through Rob Zombie.
Yep.
Now, explain a little bit about how did you get hooked up with Rob Zombie in the first?
I knew a guy that had worked on some of his videos, and there were a couple of White Zombie videos I'd help out working on. And then we wound up doing House of a Thousand Corpses. It was like the first job we were all working on. And basically, I wound up finishing up the movie, and that's kind of where I started working for Rob as his main monster guy.
Now, you've worked with other bands also. Which was the first band that you started working with?
The first musician I started doing stuff for was Glenn Danzig, who was in the band The Misfits, and then he has his own band Danzig. I like music and I like heavy metal, so just to have that tie-in to be able to work with these guys where I get to do what I do and work with people that I admire, it's great.
Wayne, so let's take a... I made your Wall of Fame. Or is it
Who's
the Wall
that?
of Shame?
Looks like Tyler Main, Michael Myers.
There we go.
Halloween 2.
You got 1 and 2 of them. So what can you show us? Let's see what you do around this shop and how you take someone as an actor walking through your door and turning them into, like, say, Michael Myers or a victim of Michael Myers.
All right, well, we can start with the Michael Myers victim. I have a head over here from Halloween 2 to show you kind of how we made that.
Let's go. Dayton, Cali.
It's the coroner van accident victim from Halloween 2, and this is just a prop head. It's not mechanical or anything like that. He was just dead. So we started with a life cast of Dayton. We poured it up in clay so we could resculpt it and sculpt all the damage onto it. And then we made a mold of that and ultimately cast it in silicone, which is a really translucent material. It's a newer material. We've been using it for several years, but it has a translucency to it that it makes it look a lot more realistic than foam latex or some of the older materials we used to use.
That's really gross.
Good. That's the idea. So something like this, it's quite a bit of work. You can see all the hair work along the hairline. Each one is punched in by hand with a needle, one by one. So it's really labor-intensive thing.
Good thing you didn't have a lot of hair, huh?
Yeah, that actually saved us some time. Your H1 mask, and then H2, slightly different.
H2, which I liked a lot better because it didn't cover my whole face.
Yeah.
I think Rob had a outtake video that he was putting together of me ripping my mask off after every time he yelled cut, right?
Yep.
I mean, you designed all of my victims. And I was just talking with Kane Hodder, who mentioned in Halloween 2, one of his favorite kills is the one that we did out by the dumpster with Jeff, where I chokeslammed him. We got ready to do it, and I raised up to stomp, and I kind of looked at you, and I'm like, can I stomp the head now? And you're like, go for it.
That was probably my favorite effect in that movie, just because it was simple, but it really kind of embodies the idea of special effects, like just tricking the audience into what they think they're seeing. So it was basically just a dummy body of Jeff that was somewhat posable, but it had a mechanical head and a mechanical jaw.
So you did the Johnny Ramone statue.
He moved back out here, and Rob Zombie became friends with him. So I kind of got to reunite somewhat, and they were pretty good friends, and they loved joking around. So one year for Christmas, Rob had this idea of a gag gift to give to Johnny, and he commissioned me to make this actual sculpture. This is just a copy of it, and on the bottom it says "Legend" because it was just like an in-joke between Johnny and his wife. So
now, where can it be seen? Where is it?
Johnny's statue's at the Hollywood Forever Cemetery in Hollywood on Santa Monica Boulevard. And I guess it's been in a lot of books, like where, famous rock stars are buried and whatnot, and people leave stuff on it all the time. It gets visited quite a bit, so it's good that people enjoy it.
Now, where did this idea come from?
Well, I think the idea came from the fact that every spare minute you had, you were playing Call of Duty.
It's a great game. What can I say?
Yep.
I mean, the first thing I did when I got to Georgia is I ran out to a Best Buy and I went and got myself a Xbox.
Yep.
And the game, set it all up so I could
Set
play
it all
online.
up, headset, everything. It was like
Yeah,
a
and
pro.
you would come over to my house and listen to me playing with
Yeah.
some of these little kids screaming at these little kids, which was kind of funny.
Tyler verbally abusing other players in other countries. This came about by some spare time on the weekend. We went to the toy store and saw a Call of Duty toy. I'm like, oh, Tyler would love that anyway. But then in the next
Yes,
aisle,
I would.
in the next aisle, there was a toy of a wrestler. I'm not sure which wrestler it was, but it looked so much like Tyler with the long hair and the beard that he had for the Michael Myers role that we just had to meld them together, and we did a little mashup, and it became the Tyler Mane Call of Duty toy. Which,
So cool.
it's not available anywhere else. I'm sure it would be a big seller.
It is
but
a one of a kind, and it
kind.
is in my office, people. Okay, so now you have seen me geek out of my Call of Duty.
Mm-hmm.
Now, what is there that you geek out about? There's got to be something. Come on.
Yeah, there's a couple of things, but mainly where all my geek status lies still as a movie fan and a horror movie fan. I still watch them all the time. I think you kind of have to still love what you do, in order to do a good job. So the same thing I geeked out on as a kid, horror movies and monsters, still doing it now. So
Wayne, I want to thank you for being a guest on the main show. Thank you very much for letting us in your shop.
absolutely, Tyler. Thanks for being here. I had a good time. Appreciate it.
And I hope you enjoyed it.